Hey Control Nation, welcome back to Control Players Unite. I am your host, Dr. Red. Today we are presenting how to play Froslass Spread Control. First, we will go over its name, then its main strategy, how the deck wins, the Pokemon and trainers you are to play, followed by whether or not you should go first or second, some recommendations for the deck, then we'll go over some key matchups and conclude. First, the name. This deck build has a number of different names. Froslass Control, Froslass Spread, Froslass Spread Control, Frostbox, and Frostlock. Any and all of the above are perfectly acceptable. With that being said, what is the deck's basic strategy? The deck's main Pokemon are Froslass and its partner Munkidori. Froslass has the Freezing Shroud ability. During Pokemon Checkup, put a damage counter on each Pokemon that has an ability except any Froslass. That means it places damage counters on Munkidori, but the latter has the Adrenabrain ability, allowing it to move said damage counters onto your opponent's Pokemon if it has a Darkness Energy attached. It also has the Mind Bend attack for a colorless and psychic energy, does 60 base damage, and will inflict confusion on your opponent's Pokemon, which can be useful in a jam, though it is not by any means essential. What you do is put down 2 Froslass and a Snorunt for backup. You then slap down Munkidori and something with a free retreat like Cleffa. Next, you get Mawile or your preferred retreat locker into the active. It has the Tempting Trap attack that prevents your opponent's Pokemon from hard retreating even if Mawile leaves the active spot. You next energize Munkidori with a Darkness Energy and collect damage counters. After you and your opponent take a turn, Munkidori will have 4 of them. You use its Adrenabrain ability to move 3 damage counters to one of your opponent's Pokemon. Repeat this process until you win. Or you can do the exact same thing, except you have 2 Munkidoris moving a total of 6 damage counters. You also have a Bloodmoon Ursaluna EX handy because of its Seasoned Skill ability. Bloodmoon, used by this Pokemon, costs 1 colorless less for each prize card your opponent has taken. Bloodmoon Ursaluna EX is a clutch end-of-game attacker, wherein you and your opponent have 1 to 2 prizes left, and you need a quick KO for victory. Your Cleffa or free retreater returns to the bench, and Bloodmoon wins you the game, essentially. Throughout the match, however, you may need to KO your opponent quicker than what Froslass and Munkidori can do, so you play Technical Machine Devolution to devolve your opponent's Pokemon after reaching the appropriate damage count. So, what the deck wants to do is wear you down slowly. It's often not a quick win and requires patience. In this way, it actually wants to force you to play faster so that your opponent makes a mistake. Your opponent thinks, oh no, I have to evolve. Oh, but wait, my evolutions have abilities. I need to attack now. It's like a timer ticking towards 0. You get the idea. Here, the Archetype's primary win condition is to take KOs and retreat lock until victorious. Thank you, Dr. Red. What are some additional Pokemon in the typical build for this Archetype? I'm glad you asked, young Grasshopper. On top of the ones we already mentioned, we have Elekid with its Crackling Shot attack. It does 30 damage to one of your opponent's Pokemon. It's good for chip damage as a free attack, and the free retreat is also appealing. We also have Wellspring Mask Ogerpon EX for its Sob attack. For 1 colorless energy, it does 20 damage. During your opponent's next turn, the defending Pokemon can't retreat. A double turbo energy can make that attack 0 damage, and it's possible that the pilot of this deck would prefer a bulkier, albeit 2 prize version of Mawile. There is Radiant Serena with the Elegant Heal ability. Once during your turn, you may heal 20 damage from each of your Pokemon. Serena heals damage that Munkidori has difficulty healing off if overwhelmed with Frostlass's damage counters, or whatever your opponent is dishing out. It can also buy you an additional several turns thereof, which may be all you need to win the match. Last, we have Spinda. Its Dizzying Spin attack reads, this attack does 10 damage to each of your opponent's Pokemon, and your opponent's active Pokemon is now confused. That costs 1 colorless energy. It is yet another way to give chip damage while giving yourself a chance at stalling your opponent. Thanks, Dr. Red. What are the main trainers of the deck? First, we have Irida for getting Froslass and any necessary item card. We have Arven for that same item card and the Devolution tool. Earthen Vessel to fetch Darkness Energies for Munkidori. Buddy Poffin for Snowrunts, Cleffa, and Elekid. Iono for Hand Disruption. Super Rod for regaining any Pokemon and Darkness Energies. Counter Catcher to aid with Mawile's stalling, and Switch for escaping our opponent's gusting effects. But Dr. Red, what about the Ace spec? Well, young Grasshopper, I initially liked Hyper Aroma for getting 2 or 3 Froslass out, but I've since changed my mind to Unfair Stamp. You have a great chance of finding it via Arven or Irida, and in reducing your opponent's hand to 2, you might just buy yourself enough time for Munkidori to do its thing. You could also go safely for Prime Catcher, as it can gust a useless Pokemon into the active. Now, young Grasshopper, there is a debate as to whether you should go first or second. The argument for first is to get Snorunt's down, preferably 2, as quickly as possible in order to get even one Froslass out the very next turn and start piling on damage counters. The argument for going second is that with at least one Snorunt down, one can use Irida to search for a Froslass right away, and one only takes the chance of being Ionoed. One could also use something like Elekid to get a turn 1 KO on a Pidgey or Froakie, etc. One could even use Technical Machine Evolution to evolve said Snorunt. Going second gives you more options, whereas going first gets the evolution waiting turn out of the way. So the choice is yours. Some recommendations for your builds are as follows. First, we have Lana's Aid. She gets you any 3 in combination of non-rule box Pokemon and basic energies from your discard pile into your hand. Fantastic for getting Froslass down on Snorunt or replenishing a lost Munkidori. Next is Penny for picking up Bloodmoon Ursaluna EX to reset its Bloodmoon attack. Minior for dealing with Iron Hands EX. Radiant Alakazam for moving damage counters to non-ability Pokemon. Noivern EX for blocking damage from basics whilst dishing out some damage. And Yveltal, whose Gnawing Winds attack places 2 damage counters on any of your opponent's Pokemon with damage counters on it for 1 Darkness Energy. Here you can see a sample build with most of the cards previously mentioned. It's also in the description. Now let's go over some key matchups so you know what to expect. With Gardevoir, the main thing is to go after Kirlia. If your opponent can get to Gardevoir, he or she must start all over again, but don't panic if they evolve. Gardevoir is still an ability Pokemon, and Devolution will come around eventually. Keep an eye on Munkidori, as it is an easy KO for your own Munkidori with Froslass's help between turns. Cresselia is a problem though, and Bloodmoon could take care of it, but not early in the match. Keep using Munkidori as best you can, and retreat lock something else with Mawile if you can, or use Spinda to inflict confusion. Also, Screamtail and Drifblim are okay because they require damage counters to attack, so make sure you have 2 Munkidori out to clean up after they decide to KO, if they decide to KO one of your monkeys. For some reason, players think Gardevoir is a bad matchup for Froslass spread control, but I found it to be a good one. Next, the same strategy applies to Charizard EX, Chien-Pao EX, and Pidgeot EX. Go for the basics. Then when your opponent evolves them, it's easier to use Devolution, or in Chien-Pao's case, it would be for Baxcalibur. Once again, don't panic if they evolve, because all of the evolutions have abilities. And retreat lock something like Bibarel, if possible, to make things easier. You'll be wearing them down turn after turn, so just have patience and it'll work out. Lugia has one major strategy. Go after Archeops. Get 2 Munkidoris down, use 1 for Archeops and the other for Chinchino. You can also let Lugia build up turn after turn and devolve it after a while. Lost Zone is the easiest of the matchups due to all of the low HP ability mons. Area away the switch cards, get 3 Froslass down, ideally 3, you definitely want 2. Chip away slowly at Giratina while going after Cramorant if necessary, and it helps to have a big basic like Bloodmoon Ursaluna EX to absorb things like Giratina's Shred. You must, however, beware of Sableye. Put all of your Elekid damage, Munkidori damage counters, and anything else on top of it. It will destroy you if your opponent gets it off. Other than that, have fun beating Lost Zone. Raging Bolt is another one players think is a bad matchup, but I've experienced it as a good one. Get your hands on something you can retreat lock like Radiant Greninja and just leave it in the active. Froslass takes care of the Teal Mask Ogerpon EXs, so chip away at Raging Bolt or the Ogerpons themselves if you think you can survive. Mimikyu is very helpful here because of the EX mons, so long as Munkidori can keep it healthy. Spinda is also great because it gives you a chance against Raging Bolt when you have no other options. And last, Lost Vacuum is great because it gets rid of the Ancient Booster Energy Capsules and Bravery Charms to KO the 2 prizers quickly. Now let's move on to some problematic matchups. Dragapult EX's Phantom Dive attack for 1 Fire and 1 Psychic Energy does 200 base damage and reads, put 6 damage counters on your opponent's benched Pokemon any way you like. It's that second part that scares us. Go for Dreepy as soon as possible to make Devolution easier. Keep chipping away at it once evolved into either Dracloak or Dragapult. Rabsca is the solution here for the bench damage, except that it can be a real hassle for Munkidori to handle alongside itself. That's why we have Radiant Serena to help, but bench space is at a premium. So getting Bloodmoon out is one way to solve the problem without either, but you have to chip away at Dragapult anyway for a KO and wait until the end of the match. Also, get rid of Xatu quickly so you can take away its energy acceleration, but Dreepy has priority. If you face this archetype against Charizard, give the priority to Dragapult because Charizard has an ability. We mentioned Iron Hand's EX before. It's problematic because of the Amp You Very Much attack. For 1 lightning and 3 colorless energy, it deals 120 base damage and reads, if your opponent's Pokemon is knocked out by damage counters from this attack, take 1 more prize card. So a 1 prizer becomes a 2 prizer, etc. It does, however, have a 4 energy retreat cost and a weakness to fighting. That's why we included Minior earlier. Its gravitational tackle attack reads, this attack does 20 damage for each colorless energy in your opponent's active Pokemon's retreat cost. Slap a super effective Glasses card on it, which multiplies weakness damage done to the opponent's Pokemon by 3, and you have a 1-hit knockout. You can also use Bloodmoon Ursaluna EX if you like. Then there's Regidrago V-Star, which is dangerous because it has access to Dragapult EX, Hisuian Goodra EX, and Raging Bolt EX if they are in the discard pile. The strategy goes like this. Chip away at Regidrago V so that it is easier to KO once it's evolved. Try trapping Cleffa in the active as it doesn't hurt you, and these decks typically have a Cleffa as a free retreat. It is possible to run your opponent out of energy, as the fire energy for Regidrago is usually only 3 or 4 copies, so just know it is a win condition. But beware of the Regidrago V attack Dragon Laser. For 2 grass and 1 fire energy, it does 130 base damage and also 30 damage to one of your opponent's benched Pokemon, in which case they're going to pick away your Snowruns or Froslass slowly enough. Also, let Mew EX run itself out via Froslass, you got bigger problems. Last, we have Ancient Box. This matchup is bad because there's usually 1 ability Pokemon in these builds, Radiant Greninja. Froslass can wear it down while you go after Great Tusk, assuming there is one. If not, it's also possible to lock a Mon without any energy if you've determined that they are low or have run out of energy. Also note that Lost Vacuum is great here for sending away Ancient Booster energy capsules. Otherwise, it's a dog of a fight because they can KO quickly, so I recommend Spinda for inflicting confusion, though they could just retreat. Conclusion. Get Froslass down as quickly as possible alongside Munkidori for moving damage counters. Then retreat lock with Mawile, etc., and wait to bring in Bloodmoon Ursaluna EX at the end for a final KO and victory. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to say this archetype is extremely flexible, so mix up your builds and just have fun with it. There's a lot of possibility here. Thank you for watching, ladies and gentlemen. What did I miss? Where am I wrong? Please leave a comment. Take care of yourselves, and may God hold you in the palm of his hand.